a scion of many worlds. "Child, I'm not going to hurt you," Jasper says gently as he flutters down nearby, but not directly above the lyric woman. More a teenager, actually. In fact, most of the hostages were barely more than children. Yet another part of this tragedy. He idly wonders how the world will respond to the expectations of years upon years of learning and not being adults until they're just shy of their 20s. In some places, under a century of age is considered outright childish. Are you Death?" she asks, looking up at him through the foliage. "A strange thing to call the man that pulled you back from death," he remarks as he gently descends onto a crag of rock. The island is a very hilly place, and on top of the hill she can easily see him with her, also having plenty of foliage and brush to hide behind. "Who are you? Orthani don't look like that. They don't get that big. They don't sound like that, and they certainly don't act like that," the lyric calls up. "I am Jasper Emmanuel Skitterway Blue. It's a complicated and weird series of events, but I am an Orthani. I also happen to be more than an Orthani as well. I am a warrior, a scholar, and more as well. It was my claws that coaxed you back from beyond. It is my friendship with the Serpent Empress that means you will find succor in her temple home. And if not there, then I can offer you shelter and healing in the Aridus Valley." "Where's the shadow? Where's the monster that did that thing to me?" the lyric demands. "I destroyed her body, but she has found a way to be immune to death itself. However, she has retreated to her shelter in the Slaver Empire for now. It is my intention." "Lord Blue, we have trouble," Lady Allure calls out, flying over the treetops towards him. The lyric shrinks away from the rushing paladin. "What's wrong?" "Numerous midwives have been captured in the Slaver Empire. Whatever authority the Shadow has, she's decided to retaliate and recognize the heraldry on my armor," Lady Allure says, and Jasper's eyes widen before he pumps Axiom into his mind to increase the speed of his thought process and give himself a little more time to think. He runs the odds, considers the consequences, and sighs. This isn't good. This is going to end badly and bloodily, and that's under the best-case scenario. Seeking out an enemy is one thing. A prepared enemy with hostages is another. Some part of him quails at the thought of what has to come next, but he puts that piece back in its corner and hardens his resolve. "All right, this is going to be bloody then. I was hoping for either a clean kill or forcing a stalemate until reinforcements, but I can do murderous," he says, before looking directly at the lyric. "Young lady, we're officially out of time. Please come out of where you're hiding so I can get you to safety, but if you don't, I'll have to pry you out." She just hides deeper in the forest and shrinks down as Jasper flutters up and then screams as he flashes down and grabs her with ease. "I'm sorry, but we're out of time." He flies to the beach with his screaming, panicking package and suppresses a wince as she starts to get her buck teeth into his arm. She then flinches back and spits. Normal Orthani have cobalt-based blood. Couple that with the human traits he has to add iron into as well, and his vital fluids are nothing short of vile to the taste. "I can take her. You have an army to prepare," Isarazan says. "She's only partially out of her portal and the rest of the hostages are nowhere in sight. Come here, child. I will care for you in these dark hours." "Is she?" "The mother of Nagasha, yes," Jasper says, and he passes over the now considerably calmer lyric. "Be careful," she bites when startled. "I was about to ask where the purple fluid came from. I thought eartheny blood was blue. I've been modifying myself and added an internal skeleton. The bone marrow provides a different kind of blood that uses iron in the oxidation process, and balancing and modifying it to act in concert with the cobalt-based blood my exoskeleton marrow produces is... I'll continue this lecture when you've gotten the biology and chemistry background needed to understand it. Sorry, I was a little busy just trying to get food and safe drinking water when I should have been in class. I'm not blaming you. Not at all, Jasper assures her. The fact that you survived, let alone survived as long as you have, is nothing short of a living miracle. Oh, don't you start. I don't need Urthani men to worship me too. She chides him, and he shrugs. Just being honest. People tend to be their own worst critic, Jasper says. Anyways, our window of opportunity for this to be bloodless just slammed in our face. I'm going back to Eridus to rally every troop I can, and I'm going to surround and break the slaver empire. Be careful. My daughters have attempted to and failed to shatter the chains many times. You won't find them lacking in enthusiasm, but there are many, many dangers. And there is no reason to believe that the fortress city of their capital hasn't grown to become even more unassailable. Isarazan notes. I know. Worst case scenario, we keep them busy and penned in for the last few days it takes for rescue to arrive, and they bombard the defenders to ash, Jasper says, and she just gives him a sad look. They can do far, far worse than that. I won't let them. It doesn't matter how many people worship you, dear Moth. There are limits to your ability. She admonishes him as she starts to fully retreat through her portal. I'm trying not to think about the forming cult. They're not part of my plan. Jasper replies, and Isarazan pauses. Then you might want to reform your plans. You never know when someone with more faith than sense will try something insane in hopes of catching your attention. She warns him, and he sighs before nodding. Fair enough. A plan must always have room for failure and stupidity, or they'll muscle out other parts for themselves, Jasper says before stepping back and away from the portal with a slight bow. Thank you for your help so far, ma'am. Hopefully everything else can be sorted out bloodlessly, but I doubt the Shadow will give us such a chance. No, she won't, Isarazan says as she leans well away from the portal and allows it close. Only a slight indent on the sand shows she was ever there. Right, well, we've got a lot of work to do. We're going to war, Jasper exclaims, rubbing his claws together and gathering Axiom together and causing an enormous amount of sparks to erupt from them before he grabs the air in front of him and tears it to the side to show the Eridus Valley beyond. Everyone through while I collect my things, gather the troops, and get the representative. She needs to hear about the sheer amount of chaos she's had me stir up. What is going on? I was planning on leaving for home in a day, but now everything is like an insect hive that someone shot with an arrow. Representative Patrice Incisor asks as the entire valley boils into movement. The Broken Soul was more than just a series of pirate ships leaning on a black reputation. It's far, far worse, Jasper says, and Patrice seems confused. Worse? So it's the same crew over and over again somehow? She asks. Yes and no. It's still worse. It's sponsored by the Slaver Empire? Yes, and still worse. How? Has the Slaver Empire got some kind of unnatural monster and it's just disguised as a ship with a bunch of handlers? Close. The entire crew is one person, a soul stealer, a body snatcher. When I killed her, all it did was make her wake up in a freshly stolen body half a world away. If you don't know how to guard your soul, she'll just rip it out if she doesn't twist it into serving her. This is well beyond what I've asked of you and yours. Call it off. Can't. I've drawn first blood, and she knows that I know she survived. She'll be coming for me and everyone that knows her secret, which means it's do or die. You bastard, you're spreading the knowledge to put the entire world against a monster they should have slaughtered long ago. I didn't create the beast. I didn't even set my sights on her. It was you and yours that did that. But I will exterminate the monster. I will track down her every stolen body and put it to the sword. I will find her every resurrection chamber and reduce it to rubble. I will steal her secrets and turn them into weapons against her. I am not afraid, and it should not be me that feels fear. What are you? You look somewhat like an Urthani, but this is utter madness. I am undaunted, and I am merely the first of many on this world. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to tell everyone about the sheer evil which we are about to wage war with. There is an amphitheater in the Aridus Valley. It's built on a large bridge that has the Valley River run underneath, and the banks of the river on either side form seating. The banks, the surrounding mountains, and the stone construction of the platform all give it amazing acoustics. That's where Jasper goes to give his speech, and that's where the army surrounds so they can all hear him at once. My warriors, friends and comrades in arms, the time for battle is upon us once more. He calls out, using axiom to cause his already carrying voice to carry further. As some of you already know, I was offered a friendship with the city-states to the east in exchange for hunting one of their foes and putting it down like the beast it was. So I set the Broken Soul pirates as my target and hunted, only to find it was a horror beyond what anyone expected. There is only one pirate, a soul stealer, a body snatcher. Merely drawing close is enough for the bitch to snuff out one's life force if she doesn't twist your mind. It was only through a desperate gambit that she was killed. However, she has defied death. She refuses to stay dead but exposed herself on her revival. She has stolen the body of a fire Erumenta, and she did so in the Slaver Empire. There are whispers and conversations at that, but Jasper silences it all by swiping his claw with a scowl. I refuse to let a horror like that stand. I do not know how many people she has mutilated the very soul of, but even one is too many. I go to purge this world of that abomination. I invite you all to come with me. But it's a soul stealer. How do we fight that? Someone calls. You do not, I do. You will help me by tying the hands of those that would come to her aid, smashing her resources, shattering her weapons, looting her treasury bare, and breaking the chains of every slave in the city. As this happens, another who has been touched by her fell power will be taking her revenge and destroying the means she has to restore her vile life, leaving the witch open for a killing blow. But what about you? How will you resist a soul stealer? Are the rumors true? Are you immortal? No, but I have begun understanding the way of souls, ways that allow me to resist the cruelty of the shadow. But isn't your body ageless? It is. And you have memories from beyond death, don't you? From another life, yes. Then how are you not immortal? Because everything can be killed. Nothing is immortal. Even stars can be murdered. Every light in the sky can be slain. It just takes planning and will. And the right tools, Terry shouts out. Those too. Jasper concedes, and there's some laughter at that. Anyways, I'm going to go fight one of the greatest evils Lachlan has ever borne. Who's coming with me? The cheer is deafening.